Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and thank you for joining me once again for another spine-tingling, head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. First, I want to say once again, I really hope that everybody had a very tasteful Thanksgiving. I know I did. It was just me and my mother this year. It was just like old times. So when we first moved here to Georgia, it was always just me and her. The whole time. So. I mean, we was invited to other family members that lived down here, but it wasn't my immediate family. But mainly it was just like I said, me and my mother. So this year it was me and her again. So it was very cozy and very, it was quaint. Just me and my mom. So that was definitely fun. And I wanted to clear up something that I had said on one of my other videos about my coworker and friend who lost his family to the hands of the son of the wife. When I first started talking about it, I said something. I think I said that he said he was going to kill something dealing with his sister, or his husband's sister, something like that. But what I meant to say was that if you haven't already heard it on the news, the son of my coworker's wife killed his mother and his sister. His mother is the wife of my coworker, and of course, like I said, his baby sister, who was only 10 years old. We buried her, we buried all three of them. Well, they buried all three of them. Friday, I believe. Saturday. I'm sorry, Saturday. The funeral was around like 11 o'clock. And I went to the burial as well. So it was a very tearful and sad moment, because we all knew the wife for a number of years, and I used to work with her on the machines at my job. I think she may have trained me as well. And the place was packed. People who retired like years ago was there. People who transferred to other facilities was there. So a lot of people was there. And even people from the congregation, which is a pretty big congregation, so it was a very big church. So it is a very big church. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, so getting down to business. Today's story is about Frank Lobears. That's Lobears. He was a son to a man named Frank Lobears. He went missing on 06/25/33 in the Chamberlain Basin of Ohio. He was 7 years old when he disappeared. I like to call it vanish, because that's more direct of what happened, since they don't know how he disappeared. Now, Frank Lobears' father owned two mining claims 4 miles apart, approximately 160 miles north of McCall, Idaho. The claims are in rugged country that still have snow in late June of 1933. The closest ranger station of the Lobears claim is the Big Creek Ranger Station. On June 25th, 1933, the seven-year-old son of Frank Lobears put on snowshoes and started a 4-mile trek across the snow to visit his mother at the other mining claim. It appears Frank didn't know his son had left, and then didn't realize his son never arrived at the other claim until Tuesday, June 27th. Searchers from both mines immediately started to search for the young boy. Approximately 2 miles from the point the boy was last seen, searchers found 2 snowshoes that the boy had apparently removed. At the location, the prints in the snow stopped, and he went to hard ground. Searchers could not find any additional tracks anywhere. 10 days after the Lobears boy disappeared, an unbelievable 15 miles of tracking through bush and ground searchers found his handkerchief in the desolate headwaters of Hand Creek. The Hand Creek site is approximately 6 air miles from the origin of the boys' trek. On July 6, Idaho Governor Ross stated, "It looks as if we never will find the boy." State airplanes, ground troops, volunteers, law enforcement officers, and almost every other search mechanism available in 1933 were part of the attempt to find the boy. On July 7th, 1993, the search for Frank Lobears' son was terminated. Okay. It also said here that remember the fact that the handkerchief was found in a creek bed. Many of the people who disappear are found in or near creek beds, which is very true. Pretty much almost everybody who has disappeared in these areas, which would be your national parks, national forests, and campgrounds. Sometimes even just areas that are very wooded seem to disappear near a creek bed, or basically any area that's near a lake or a creek bed. This is a pretty strange case as well because of the fact that he just up and leaves the area where him and his father was located at for mining. And that's another thing too. A lot of people, there have been some people that have, or a group of people that have disappeared in mines. Not around the mine, but in mines. There was never any trace of them there. Equipment, their gear, all that stuff was still there, but the people were just gone. They just vanished, without a trace. Now, in this case, the Lobears case, he just puts on his snowshoes and just takes off to go visit his mother, 4 miles away from the place where he was last seen. Now, I still say there has to be some sort of or some type of mind control in this scenario, because they just gets up and just walks away and just starts moving towards a certain area, without telling anyone, nobody, especially the father. He just had enough. He just had the mind to just get up and just walk towards mom. I guess because he knew where it was, he just said, "Oh, I'm gonna go visit my mom," and he don't tell nobody. For people to just up and just do these things, and then those same people disappear. It would mainly be the people who just get up and just go somewhere out of the blue, and then of course not telling anybody, So it's real sad how the young 7-year-old boy just vanished between point A and point B, and he's never been found. The only thing they did find was 2 items, his shoes, which, think about this. Why would the young boy take off his snowshoes, knowing he's going to be walking in the snow? But still, he took his shoes off halfway into this hard ground that he walked on. Before he even got to it, he took his shoes off, but they found the shoes in the snow. And I wouldn't want to be walking in the snow with just socks on. Because it's going to seep through the socks, and it's going to be real cold, and you ain't going to be able to walk because feet going to be numb and all kinds of crap. But he still took his shoes off in the middle of the trek while still in the snow. And then a few miles out, they found his handkerchief. So, and those are the only items they found of the boy. They didn't find anything else. No bone fragments, no blood, no nothing, no body. Definitely no body. And normally the body is found near or in a creek bed, when they find the body, but he was never found. It makes you wonder, whoever took him, what sort of purpose would he serve to them? And I still say that there is no human element in this case. Me and my cousin talked about this last night because she was asking me why was I so into this type of subject. I was like, and I told her the same thing I told you, my viewers. It all started with a case dealing with a young girl named Madison Scott. Now, David Paulides said that he doesn't really cover the cases from the British Columbia because of the element of evidence that comes from these cases. Like, it's too close to the Highway of Tears cases, and these are basically people who up and just get kidnapped. You know, some of the bodies of these women have never been found. They just know they disappear on the Highway of Tears, and that's the creepy part. Now, Madison Scott, she never disappeared, and she was miles away. The way she lived was miles away from the Highway of Tears. You know, this is a place called Hog's Back, near Hog's Back Lake. That's a case that really hits home with me, because to this day she's never been found, and they still look for her. You know, she just vanished without a trace in this campground. Well, on this campground, you know, 5 years ago, and it's very unsettling with her case. Now, I'm not sure if David Paulides has actually looked at this case. He said in the past that he probably, the cases that people send to him, he probably did look at it, but he threw it out because some of the criteria and the facts don't add up to what he's actually looking for in these disappearance cases. And then, you know, they got some cases where people just up and just vanish, you know, without a trace, you know. But there's too many variables in the case, because you got 30 some odd people that showed up at the park, you know, at the campsite, you know, who were cleared. Mind you, they were all cleared. And I think the ages ranged from like teenagers to like people in their mid-40s, which makes no sense why they were even there, because it was supposed to be a small gathering between friends, but it got put on Facebook, which is the reason why so many people showed up. You know, they started crashing the party. But you know, with her case, it's just a matter of her just vanishing without a trace between the hours of 8 p.m. and 3 something p.m. You know, that was the last time she was ever seen. You know, everybody started to disperse, and by the morning she was gone. You know, and she hasn't been found. Now, there are a lot of rugged there is a lot of rugged terrain in British Columbia, in the area where she lived in. They said it's very thick. So if someone was to place a body in there, they would probably never find it, because there's so much stuff out there. There's a lot of vegetation, there's a lot of brush, a lot of bush, tons of twigs and just branches all over the place. You know, so I mean, if you looked at a sky view of British Columbia, or at least the area that she lived in, it's nothing but forest. It's thick. It's ridiculous. You know, so anybody could get lost in there. They will probably never be found. Maybe, I don't know. They probably would, but they would just have to know exactly where to look if a pattern had been created with, as far as where people be traveling. But yeah, about the Frank Lobears case, I believe that's the boy's name, not the father. The father's name was Frank Lobears. The boy, his name was the boy's name was Frank. Okay, he was probably a junior. Yeah, Frank. His name was Frank Lobears. It didn't mention the father's name. It just said Frank Lobears' father. But anyway, yeah. As far as that case, like I said, it's a very common thing that happens with all these disappearance cases, where the person just gets up and leaves without telling anyone, and then that same person ends up disappearing without a trace, or that person is found dead miles and miles and miles away from their last location. And the weird part about that is they're found, once again, face down in a creek bed somewhere, you know, and the body is pristine, very clean, like as if they haven't been in that area the whole time. And yet, all of a sudden, they're there in a wet, marshy area. You know, there's never any evidence of death on the body. There's no bullet wounds. There's no knife wounds. No pinpricks where they injected them with some type of poison. There's nothing. The only thing they find in the body is GHB, which is a date rape drug chemical. But the funny part about that is there's never any evidence of how the GHB got into the body. It wasn't ingested because I would think, I mean, if you ask me, they would have to kill the person first, then inject them with GHB, just so it sounds weird as far as why was it in their system, because there was no alcohol involved as far as what it was mixed with. Orange juice, all this stuff will be detected in the system, especially in the stomach, because it takes a long time for that food to digest, especially, well, it would never digest if the person was dead, because a lot of times I've heard of autopsy reports where they would open up the stomach and all this food would just fall out, like one time I heard about this one guy who, it was actually America Undercover, and it was this one guy who was infamous on that show because he was an autopsy expert. He was a mortician, and he opened up the body, and it appeared that the guy had stoopy, I believe, or like vegetable soup, because it had all kinds of different vegetables in his stomach. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty unfortunate about that young boy, and he's never been found to this day. We're talking about 1933, so that's a long time. But that's really all I got on that story, from what I read. And as always, I will continue to post, the stories on these cases. And of course, look, I wanted to make sure I said this. I finally got a chance to order their new book from their collection of David Paulides' Missing 411 books. It's the Sobering Coincidence book, or Sobering Coincidence. Can't wait to get it. I should get it hopefully by the 2nd, right before my birthday, which is on December 4th. Just so you guys know, I accept all credit cards, cash, and buttermilk frosting birthday cake. So hook a brother up, okay? But anyway, I gotta go. Gotta eat my breakfast. I'm cooking it right now. So aloha, mahalo, and hui ho. Peace out, guys. Stay blessed.